Hey bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. Today's patient is filthy. You know, bikes like this, when they are discovered by their owners, they're like, oh my God, that bike is trashed. I look at something like this and I'm like, this thing is gold. I can tell that beneath all of this filth is a perfectly good functioning bicycle. It's a really nice, decent quality comfort bike from 20 years ago that I definitely know there's a market for. I think this bike was bought brand new and left to sit and rot. All we have to do is clean it, lube it, and adjust it, and it's going to be better than the day it was brand new. This is exactly what I do here at Gibbs Bike Shop and on the channel, and exactly what you can do at home and flip bikes, get yourself one for super cheap, help out a neighbor. These things are all over the place at garage sales. You can find them like this. It's crazy, but they're out there. You just have to know where to look. Put yourself out there, let people know you're a bike flipper. They'll just give them to you. There's gonna be a total transformation. I think it'll be a good one. You kick back and relax. I'm gonna get started. All right, so you can see here, the tire has come completely unseated. This isn't common with the 26x2 tire size. When they lose air, they come unseated pretty easily. Here you can see some of the grime that is built up. You know, this was in a garage of some sorts, a shed, maybe a barn. You can just see all the grime. You're sitting in the pile with a note on it from Eli, who's a viewer turned employee, and it said, friendly reminder to get some before shots so you can show the grime. So here we are, showing all of the grime. You can see I think they're called stanchions, right? A little rusty, that should come right off. All I see here is dust, you know? It's filth, but it's bad enough that I'm gonna take it outside and hit it with the hose. I don't have a pressure washer, but a good hosing down will get us a good start on cleaning this bad boy. I just had a good idea that before we fill this tire full of water with the hose, we should probably seat it onto the rim. Test my theory that this will hold air. Can I do it? I got one side on. This isn't my normal procedure. So if you kind of squeeze from the other side, it gets you more room, and then you can pop it on. Well, it's got a big wobble in it. Nothing's bent, or I mean, nothing's broken. Should be able to work that out in the truthing stand. Oh, that was wrong. That's got a hole in it. We'll replace that in a little bit. Hope the kickstand holds the bike up. When the tires are flat, kickstands don't work a lot of the time. That might help, especially with these plump tires. All right, let's take her outside. All right, clean. Let's just kind of see how much filth we get. We got a pretty clean rag here. We just kind of start wiping down the big stuff. Yeah, you can see we've already made a tremendous improvement. But we still got a lot of wiping as we go to do on this one. But it's kind of a good starting point. Per the usual, I go boom, boom, little and little. Ooh, spraying water all over the place. Disconnect the rear brake. Pop the rear wheel off, set it aside. Do the same thing up front here. I think I'll just go ahead and have a seat here on Woody Charleston. Slap a new tube up in her. Okay, watch your step. So for those of you in the comments that say, why don't you just clean the bikes outside, hose them down? This is why. I think it's actually messier to do it this way. You know, I could have just wiped, maybe go through a couple of rags and a bunch of Dawn Power Wash, but at the end of the day, I think it's cleaner. You know, now I've got 2 wet rags, one dirty one and one not very dirty. This bike is kind of an extreme case though. I guess it's not fair to make a direct comparison, but generally speaking, you don't need to get the hoses out. Then again, at home, if you just want to clean your bike off after a dusty ride, spray it down with your hose and leave it out in the sun. I don't think it's gonna hurt much. This thing's already driving me crazy. It's a trailer mount. Deleted. All right, up here in the truthing stand, we'll get into some more deeper cleaning, a little less ranting and raving. All right, so this is that wet, filthy rag. Here, I'll bring in the camera. Never show you guys the backside, do I? This will be a good example of what I'm doing back here. Sometimes that doesn't quite cut it. Get a brush in there to agitate it. And then I guess I can come from this side and clean the hubs. These are nice Shimano hubs. This is actually a very nice bike. You know, if you see that it's got Shimano hubs, you know it's a nicer model. It's going to be spec'd well. Have nicer shifters, derailleurs, hubs, rims, tires. Everything's going to be just a little bit nicer than the entry-level stuff. But it's nothing fancy, but I think it's worth it. I think the Shimano hubs really are that. You know, it's a notch up in quality. Probably you'll have double-walled rims. This one doesn't. I don't think the Matrix 550s are double walled. Maybe they are. No, definitely not. We just saw that. Anyway, I just kind of go through and I wipe everything. Try to get it looking clean. This is going to be a lot of cleaning on this bike. Anyway, I said a little less ranting and raving. Last few videos, last few edits, I'm like, man, you know, I'm just grumpy and negative lately. It's kind of fun, you know. I like the sarcasm and the cynicism, but it gets old. I like to mix it up for you guys, so I thought maybe I won't, you know, slip into my typical existential absurdist ranting and raving about how ridiculous the world is, and instead just tune up a bike, rescue a bike, do God's work. And this one looked to be pretty easy. I only have 50 more minutes here in the shop alone before Trevor gets in for his 10 o'clock shift. So I'm gonna try to move quickly here. You know, cleaning does take a little bit extra time. This is not a tune-up for a customer. We're reconditioning this bike for sale. It's gonna become a used bike. It's gonna become inventory for me. Inventory's low. I've sold through a bunch of stuff. We had a good couple of weeks. It's still been a very slow season, but like I've said in previous videos, that's not necessarily indicative of global problem, although it sure seems to be the case that, you know, the bike industry is still depressed. But, you know, I mean, it could just be like I'm focusing on the channel more. The channel is my kind of my main thing now, and, you know, I don't work the bike shop as much. Playing too much golf. Which, by the way, I'm happy to report two things. First of all, my son has started to play. I have a membership, and he's included on that membership until he turns 19, and he's taking advantage of it. And just out of the blue, he's got a couple of buddies that play out there, and so he's been meeting them in the afternoons and playing himself. That's an unexpected surprise. He's an athlete. He's a football guy. I'm definitely not an athlete or a football guy, and we love and respect each other as such, but it's nice to have an activity that we both enjoy. And yeah, he's getting into it, so that's been fun. And on Father's Day, he wanted to play golf, and I did not. Man, I'm sweating. It's so muggy these days, even with the AC on. It's real high humidity, and I just don't handle that well. Anyway, the boy convinced me to get off my ass and go play golf on Father's Day. And I played the best round of my life. I shot 1 under par, 69. It was like one of my top goals for the summer was to break par. Did it from the back tees. Just a really good, clean, fun round. Everything was dropping. And I have probably lipped out, I don't know, I mean, an average of 3 putts per round since. And it's just been maddening because, you know, that's golf. Like, why aren't those putts dropping? They were on Father's Day, but now they're not. And I'm lipping them. It's not like they're bad putts. It's not like I have a fundamental issue I gotta correct. It's just, they're just not going in the hole. That gets old pretty quick. You know, you always look back on the round. What could have gone better? What were the mistakes that I made? You know, what, if anything, should I work on? And, I mean, you can work on putts, but I think sometimes they're just, it's bad luck. It's like flat tires on a bike. You don't always find a good reason for it. Sometimes it's just your time to get flat tires. But yeah, how cool is that? He's playing golf. It's a good life skill to have, I think. To be able to, you know, I think anybody who can play bogey golf can play with anybody in the world. And, you know, it's like, you know, if you can play bogey golf, it means you know the game, you can keep pace, you can take 10 years off and still jump back on and still, you know, break 90. It took me a few years to get there. I think I was a bogey golfer by the time I graduated high school. I started in middle school. It took a while before I got good enough where I'm closer to par than bogey. But I'm in mid-season form. The big tournament's coming up in a couple of weeks. I think I'm ready for it. I don't play competitively too often, but we do have an annual big, the medalist tournament they call it, where all the best players kind of see who's top dog this year. And I'm definitely not in running to win it, but, you know, if I finish top 10, I'd be happy. You know, that's my goal. I think I gotta be close to a pair of 78s, 2-day tournament, you know, and I should be able to do that. But 75 one day, 79 the next, something like that. Of course, plays a little tougher during that. They set it up, sucker pins and such. All right, golf talk. Just in the interest of time, and since I'm not ranting and raving, I'm gonna just rip right through this one. We'll go, you know, at least 20x. All right, back here on the bike. If you pull this derailleur like that, that loosens the cable enough where you can get it out of its happy cable stoppy home there. It's a little bit easier to get a rag in there to wipe things down. Man, I wonder where this bike lived to get this. It's like a thin film of mucky, dusty, muddy gunk. You know, just, over a long period of time, it just got dirtier and dirtier. I really want to get most of it off. And then I still have to like spray it with Pledge or Behold. It's the cheap stuff from my grocery store. You know, some furniture polish. Shine her up. It's even on the brake springs. So if you get it to this point and then take a clean rag sometimes, just that kind of gunky filth is enough of a polish where then you can skip the Pledge. This is clean and dry. We might be able to get away with it. I know Alec that used to work for me, he used to have like some semi-clean rags that were dry at least, and he'd just use them as polishing rags, like a tack cloth. He's like a master of cleaning bikes. He was so good at it. It's very time consuming though. Not really sure what to do here. I'm gonna try some Dawn Power Wash and a brush. And then speed degreaser. It's an expensive rinse, but it works good. And that's some compressed air. So this is that clean dry rag. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna really need the Behold at this point because we can just wipe off the film and it looks pretty shiny underneath. Like I said, I don't think this bike saw a lot of action. You know, they might have moved it around a few times. It might have gone around the block once or twice. But for the most part, she's very clean. Get a little bottle of Tri-Flow Superior lubricant here. Wow, that made a huge difference. This cable was really dry in there. You know, whatever it wasn't exposed to a lot of humidity. I'm going to tilt the bike up a little bit here. Here's the cable. So this cable runs through the frame, which is super annoying. You can only get so much access to it then. But use gravity and capillary action. Now I'm pulling on it from the lever side. And here on the lever side, I can do the same thing. And then if you get tricky enough, you can do one of these numbers and really work that lube down in there. And usually that's just good enough for who it's for. And get that one back in its happy home. Finish line one step, cleaner and lubricant. It's like tune up in a bottle. But you know, there's lots of little pivot points and movable doodads on a derailleur. And just reanimate things. Wake it up. A little more polishing. Wiping as we go. Wiping as we go. Pretty clean. Okay, so these brakes here, this one's moving pretty good. The other one felt like it was sticky. If you drop a little Tri-Flow in there and then wiggle it back and forth, again with gravity and capillary action, you can get some lubrication in there. Get those moving free and easy. See if we can wake this one up. Sometimes if you disconnect your spring back here, just kind of wiggle it just a little bit, like that old Will Smith song. That's what I thought originally. I don't think it is the Fresh Prince. That's getting jiggy with it. Jiggy, wiggle, phonetically similar songs, and from the same era. But way back, 30 videos ago, I got them mixed up, and it kind of became humorous for a minute. Not really though. Yeah, this is just not freeing itself up. So if you take the brake off, clean things a little bit. You know, there could have been some sort of filthy buildup in there. There we go. Still a little sticky. Not really sure why. Oh, it looks like maybe the spring is rubbing back here. Sometimes you just have to look and see what's up. No, that wasn't it. I don't know what the deal is, but I bet we can get that to work. You can see these pads are like way off. So, how was this bike ever together? Maybe it was wrong from the get-go. We see that a lot around here, being so close to Trek. Affectionately, we call the person in the basement of Trek headquarters that assembles bikes for employees the Troll. I've heard they can make 30 bucks if they assemble a bike. And they just slap them together. I don't care. A lot of the bikes here come from employee purchase. I probably should have waited. Yeah, definitely should have waited. Should have waited until I lubricated that cable. This is always risky. So this cable housing goes all the way up to the lever. I don't know if I'm gonna get the shot, if you get the gist of what I'm doing here, but hopefully I don't suck this through the noodle or the housing and can't get it back in, because if it frays and then, you know, one of these gets caught, yeah, it's kind of fraying just a little bit. So this is risky business. We don't want it going past that point. You know, a lot of people are like, just replace the cable, dude. Couldn't imagine doing a tune-up without replacing the cable. And what happens with these ladies' bikes is that it has this loop and moisture will get trapped down in there. Now this one, yeah, I can tell there's a little bit of corrosion. There's a little something going on, but I think I'll be able to wake it up. Alright, so now I'm messing around with things in the lever end. I should just go get a cable and replace it. To the tune of how much is that doggy in the window? I should just get a cable and replace it. Okay, doing it. Let's see how bad things are. Yeah, so you can see right all through here, right? That's all rust and corrosion. So one thing I'll do, take my luber bottle, just right down in there and squirting a bunch of Tri-Flow. A lot of people just replace the housing too, but I'm not gonna go that far. That's ridiculous. Brand new cable, stainless steel, slick cable. Yeah, that housing is clean in there. So it mostly was on the cable. But if I do that, that kind of messes things up through that loop. Right? It's like it plunges all that lube through there. So that whole line now is filled with lubrication. How much for the cable in the window? That's really the song that my grandma used to sing. Behold! Looked like we had just kind of an extra load of filth up here on the front That Behold is a really wonderful cleaner. It just seems to grab all the filth, transfer it to the rag. Transfer it. Transfer it. You know, these front reflectors like to grab cables. Did you see that? See, it grabs that cable. Not a big fan of reflectors, you know, I've said it on the channel before, nobody rides at night. It's always worth a comment or two. People are like, that's not true. I ride at night, home from work, every day. It's like, you might ride at night, but people don't. Comment yesterday was, people ride in the winter and the rain. You know, I must have been talking about fenders or something, where I was like, oh, doesn't matter. Nobody rides in the winter or the rain anyway. You know, it's like, yeah, you might, but people don't. It's just, they're not common, you know? That's all I'm saying. It's just hyperbole. Hyperbolic bike repair. One of these days I'm gonna nail it and just have the title and jingle and motto and slogan. All right, turn this sucker back into a bicycle. All right, whoop, drop the skewer nut. I'm just flipping the skewer around because the tire is on backwards, but not really. The skewer is backwards. I like to have the tires so the tread is pointing forward. It's an aesthetic thing. I think a lot of people don't understand how quick release skewers work and they just take them all the way out and then they never get them put back on right. Very high percentage of bikes have the springs backwards or the skewers backwards or something. And it matters because very few wheels are actually dished and very few forks are actually true and very few frames are actually straight. So when you flip things, the brakes don't line up and so on and so forth. This is another really common thing. This is all bent up and it's because at some point the handlebars turned all the way around and ripped the noodle right through this, whatever you call it, noodle stopper. But if you just take your pliers and reshape it. I've had people schedule full tune-ups in the bike mobile, go all the way to their house just to fix that problem. It's the only thing wrong with their bike. 120 bucks. All right, let's see what's going on here. These pads were a little wonky, so I'm just gonna kind of straighten them out. Oh, somebody must have taken the pad off. It's missing parts. Man, people just don't care. This is all wrong. Okay. Missing a washer. Gotta find one. All right, I get everything in my hand, ready to roll and rock. Okay, I'm gonna call an audible here and make a change. Just because that left side of the brake was acting a little funny and it seemed like it would work really well until a point. There's different size spacers. I'm putting the thicker spacer on the inside and the thinner spacer on the outside. That kind of changes how far the brakes are gonna be splayed out, you know, and how they hit. It just seemed like they were going to be pinching too much on the inside. Terrible explanation. But if you watch my other videos, watch enough of this, you know what I'm talking about. It's gonna be a better feeling brake when I'm done. Oh, dropped a washer. All right, there you have it. The SP7, Super Pinchy 7. Feels a little tight. Let's let some cable out. Didn't really let any cable out though. There you go. And then you can see this screw is turned all the way in. Back that off. All right, just a smidge more. Oh yeah, front brake's gonna need some work too. Okay, so front brake's looser than the rear. I like them to feel about the same. So we're gonna tighten the cable a smidge. Turn that in. Oh, look at that. Oop, a little bit of a wubby-dubby there. Just find the happy medium. And springs like to drift. Don't forget to lube your noodle. That's pretty good. I'm okay with it. So these handlebars are pretty filthy. Little behold. And then some 4/0 steel wool. That's way more better, hey? Little one step here on the chain. I don't know why it's doing that. There's probably a sticky link, right? There's a sticky link. So, this right here. There's a sticky link. Nothing a little brute force can't handle. Whoa, that's a very sticky link. That is extraordinarily sticky. This is Croil, the oil that creeps. All right, that should work the kink out while we tune things here. Just kind of cleaning that rag. Nope, cleaning the chain with the rag. Whoa, big jump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna turn this in just a little bit. The cable seems a little tight. I think maybe the hanger is bent just a little bit. Don't try this at home, folks, but here's a cheater method. All right, phone is ringing. Shop is open. Gibbs Bike Shop, this is Andy.
Good afternoon, Andy. How are you doing today?
Yeah, so don't try this at home, but sometimes you can just make a manual tweak to that hanger and get things to shift better. I don't know. I should probably get the tool out and do it the right way, but I want to cheat and win. Get on with my day. So I can't tell. Yeah, it still wants to shift up. All right, we gotta do the stupid hanger. I should replace that too. I'm cutting corners because I didn't think this was gonna take so long. It's supposed to be an easy one. Derailleur hanger tool. I mean, actually, should be the first step of any tune-up. Should just be a thing I do, but I don't. Yeah, it's like really bent. Okay, so we'll check it at 12. Against 6, that was good. And then we got 9, which is not good, against 3. Bend it that way a little bit. Now it's really easy to break them, so be careful. There's 3 against 9. And every time you make a tweak, like 3 and 9, it messes with your 6 and 12, you know? You just gotta kind of find your sweet spot. All right, that's better. And we're gonna replace that spoke protector too. Should have done that before. Didn't think of it. Go ahead, leave the comment. Nobody knows how much you know, and you need to let them know what you know, because you know better. You know that there's no point in putting on a spoke protector if you know how to set up a derailleur properly. You just got to set your limit screws and adjust your hanger that was bent because somebody's bike tipped over, and had the spoke protector not been there, they would have overshifted into these spokes and ripped them all off the drive side. But you go ahead and make the comment about how it's totally unnecessary on bikes that have the brake pads were removed and put on incorrectly, and the front skewer was on backwards, and it's never been ridden because it had a flat tire, and all the other things that regular normal people don't know how to do because they don't care, and because they don't have to, because they just pay somebody else to do it. Spoke protector protects them, not you. I don't do this for my benefit. I do this for their benefit. It's part of my pathological altruism. I can't not just always be doing things for someone else. How I develop self-worth. I care more about other people than myself. Therefore, I am a better person than you. I almost got through a whole video without getting snide, sarcastic, cynical, what have you. But that's way more better, hey? Okay. Yeah, I mean, see how much smoother that is? So this is basically a friction shifting front. So as long as it's shifting, it's fine. Pretty much how that works. You just have to set the limits, and they don't drift, so just checking them. It's good. And there you have it, bike farmers. We have another completed, reconditioned bike ready to be sold at Gibbs Bike Shop, used bike showroom in Lake Mills, Wisconsin. And no, I will not ship it to you, but we are open very few hours right now, just 3 days a week. And you can peruse, but like I said, man, inventory is way down. We've been selling bikes, and that's good because I had way too much at this time last year, and now we're just about right. And this will be a great one. I don't expect it to last very long. People come in here all the time looking for something just to ride around the neighborhood, out on the Glacial Drumlin Trail with the kids. Comfort is king. It is slow biking, and this is a good slow bike. So thank you so much for watching, sticking through it till the end. That is absolutely dumbfounding to me, and I'm forever grateful for your attention. Thank you so much. If you made it this far, I think it deserves a like, right? Give it the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please do. That always helps the algo. And if you got a little extra, that is also much appreciated. You can do that right here in YouTube with a super thanks. Click the super thanks button. That's money right out of your account into my account over to the taco shop. Tacos are ingested into my belly, energized to make more content just like this for you. Or you can become a monthly sustaining member by joining the channel. That is like people going to Patreon, but you can do it right here in YouTube. And yeah, membership is growing every day. That's a nice sustainable little chunk of money I get every single month. $5, $10 a month, whatever you got. A lot of times you can just go and like cancel some subscription you forgot you had in your phone there and take that $10 and send it my way. Yeah, let's do that. But for yourself, the number one thing you can do is click that notification bell so you and your bikes can stay tuned.